Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me directly through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is an internationally syndicated show solely due to the love and support that you all continue to show. We're available across all major podcast distributors, and like I mentioned, people, if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in because we are delighted to showcase this next guest on our network. And on the line with us today, we have the impressive Sören Sörbo Samuelsson. Now, we're going to be discussing his incredible book, I Should Be Dead. Instead, they call me the Godfather. I love that title, man. It is catchy like no other. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, man. It's a whole host of other places. Type it into a search bar. You're going to be greeted with all of them. But of course, to gather everything that he has in store, check out his personal site, and that's SörboProducts.com. There, you're going to gather more information on him, on his products, everything that he has to offer. I'm telling you, it's a one-stop shop and definitely one you can't pass up. That's SörboProducts.com. And I quickly want to point out the fact that Sören was brought to us by Book Launch International. So for my writers out there who have gone through their process and need some assistance moving that masterpiece you developed, head on over to booklaunchintl.com. and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And people, listen, it is a true pleasure to have Sören here on the line. Man, listen, when we were doing research and preparation for this interview, I kept thinking of the phrase, right? Like, some lives defy the odds, right? Something we've heard before and we're very familiar with. Well, Sören Sörbo Samuelsson is one of them. Okay, from near fatal mistakes to miraculous second chances, his memoir, I Should Be Dead, reads like a thriller, like a love story and a business masterclass all in one. This man is the absolute embodiment of a person of distinction, and we're looking forward to this discussion. I'm telling you, sit back and strap in. Here we go. Sören, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, Sören, listen, man, it is a true pleasure. Okay, a wonderful delight to have you here. As I mentioned, your background is remarkably impressive, not only from the products that you've invented, but also, the investments that you've been a part of, but from a standpoint of what people are going to be able to learn from your journey, from your life, man, it is something that is remarkably beneficial. And we are looking forward to taking advantage of every single part of it, right? The adversity that you faced, as I mentioned to you on the pre-screening call, it is nothing short of magnificent, and I'm sure there is so much wisdom to be gained through that, and our listening audience is going to be able to benefit. Okay, now let's jump right in without wasting any more time. I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Okay, first and foremost, what inspired you to move to the United States, and how did that chapter of your journey even begin?
It's probably the most important thing that happened to me. I had a friend of mine who came by in Sweden, and he visited, and I just separated from my old girlfriend, and he said, now when you're single, why don't you come over and visit in Palm Springs, California? It's a lot warmer there, he said, than it is in Sweden. So I said, well, if I can find a warmer place, I'll be there. So in October 1971, I came and landed in Palm Springs Airport. And I had a 9 months vacation. I was a welder and a mechanic, and I made pretty good money in Sweden. And but after just a short time, I fell in love with the American people. It was the friendliest people I ever met in my life. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, I'm not coming home anymore. I'm going to make California my home. And she said, what are you saying? You're not coming home? No. I don't know anything about heaven, I said, but they say heaven is wonderful, and I think this is the closest you can get to heaven, because, my family never gone to church, so we never been any Christian people in our family or religious. So that's how I started.
I love that. I love that. Well, listen, as a fellow Los Angeles resident myself, I'll be the first to admit here and really double down on what Sören is saying. Here in Los Angeles, man, it's pretty darn close to heaven, okay? It is absolutely beautiful. It is a wonderful place, a wonderful location, and it is definitely something that I never want to leave, right? I mean, it's a beautiful place, pretty darn close to heaven, I'll tell you that much. Sören, I want to move now to your relationship, okay? Because I know that played a really pivotal role in your life. And listen, as a married man myself, I'm a firm believer that behind every good man is an even greater woman. I really do believe that. And, so much of our accomplishments a lot of times comes down to the partnership and the alliances that we create. So how did your relationship with your wife begin? And how did that evolve into a 50-year love story?
Well, there was actually a blessing, because I was looking for somebody. After that, I decided to stay here. I was looking for somebody to get married to and get a green card. That was my point. And we used to invest most of my money in Gillis in Palm Springs. There was a nightclub there, and we were there just about every night for 6 months. But anyway, one night, 2 guys and 1 young girl came in there, and I never seen a more beautiful person in my life. I said to Kenny, my friend, and he knew I was looking for someone to get married to. And I don't know why I said it, because it's not like me, but I said, look at that girl, I said. She is so cute. And I said, I'm going to marry her, I said to Kenya. And I don't know why I said it, but anyway, it turned out to be that way. Anyway, I went over and started to ask her for a dance, and the guys, they didn't look very happy, but she danced with me, and I found out later she always looked for a tall man. And as I was 6'2", 6'3", and she was only 5'2", I was very tall in her eyes. And I started to dance with her, and I said, I'm not going to let this girl down before I have 2-3 dances with her, And this was the days when you shake, so that's all I could. But anyway, it was very hot that evening, and her hair got stuck around her neck here, and I said, I'm going to fix that. So I start blowing her in the face. I don't know why I did a stupid thing like that, but I did it, and she started laughing. Oh, and she was so cute when she was laughing, so I kept doing it. And I did this for 3 dances, then I let her go down. But as soon as I let her sit down with those 2 guys, I went back to my table, and I realized in a few minutes that they were leaving. So I ran over there, and I said, I didn't speak in English. So I asked telephone, and I had a pen, but I didn't have any paper, so I stuck my arm out. So she wrote the phone number on my arm. And she told me later on she'd never done that in her life. But I knew now that God was with me all the way from the beginning. And I actually dated her for a few weeks, and then I said to Kenny, I have to ask her if she want to get married, otherwise I have to look for somebody else. So I asked her, and she said yes. And I said, wow, I thought America was great when I came here, but now I know it's super great. I said, I was so happy. And then we were together for 50 years as married, and the life has been wonderful. Sadly enough, she left me Christmas 23, and she's up there now in heaven waiting for me, so it's okay.
Sören, my sincerest condolences on the passing of your wife, man. I will say that although my nightclub phase is long behind me now, you're one of the lucky ones, man, because the nightclub, at least as I remember it all those years ago, it was generally not the place to find love, my man. Okay, you struck gold with that one, because it is rare to find anything of substance in the nightclubs, right? Well, again, I mean, it's been years since that was really something that I was attending, but at least at that time. Nah, man, you can find a lot of other things, but love, probably not one of them. So you were batting 1,000 with that one there, Sören. Listen, man, I want to move now to inspiration, okay? But not necessarily inspiration with regards to this book. Let's talk a little bit more about your background, okay? Because listen, your background is very eclectic, and there are a lot of different things, but you've really built your name on cleaning products, right? So I'm curious to know what led you into the world of cleaning, because so far, everything that you've told us has nothing to do with the window cleaning industry. So I'm curious, man, was it a conscious decision on your part, or was it something that you almost fell into by necessity?
Yeah, well, it was more or less a necessity, and I didn't supposed to be a window cleaner. I was a welder and a mechanic. I was a tough guy, you know, and when I decided that I want to stay, you know, I needed a job because I blew all my money in that nightclub, you know, and this was actually before I met my wife, and my friend said, you know, I know a window cleaner, and he was actually in our gang sometimes, and he needs somebody who can clean windows. And I said, well, that's for ladies. I said, I'm a welder. But anyway, I looked around, and, you know, the reason is because I couldn't speak English. I was very bad in school. You know, my school years was a nightmare, which you find out when you read my book. And but anyway, I started to look for work, and I couldn't find anything because I didn't speak in English. So I had to go back and ask this guy, you still need help? And he did. So I started to actually work for him. And I find it interesting because we cleaned the windows for Elvis Presley and Lucille Bowles and a lot of movie stars. And I was really excited about that. So, you know, I was 24 years old, and I was in Elvis' house, walking around inside, cleaning windows and mirrors. And I said, I had to take a lot of pictures, send home to Sweden. So I did. And you know, of course, I was very popular among my friends because I was in Elvis' house, you know. So anyway, one thing led to another, and I worked for this company for 3 years, and then I started my own business after that.
Well, that's a great segue, Sören, that I really want to dabble in next and utilize as a way of almost paying it forward. I know a lot of people listening in right now, myself included, we're entrepreneurs. Right? We're business owners, and myself, I've owned multiple businesses now, and I understand firsthand the amount of work that it takes, right? I understand that having a business, being a business owner, man, that comes with a lot of pressure. It comes with a lot of work. So now I wanna ask you now, let's look back at some of your earlier challenges that you faced as a business owner, as well as an inventor. Talk to us about some of those challenges, and again, give us some advice to pay it forward for those young entrepreneurs listening in right now.
Well, you know, I never been in business, and coming from a socialized country like Sweden, you know, you never have a chance to learn anything about business because you're always hired, you know. So when I started to invent the products, and because I was already married then, it was in the 80s, my wife was a great support. I am a very worried person, and she is really, really cool, and she always said, don't worry, it will be fine, and I sometimes panic, you know. But anyway, I started to invent products because when I was cleaning windows, I realized I needed new tools, and I always been good with my hands. And also when it comes to design, things like that, I always been good at that too. So I started to design new products. And then in 1987, we didn't know how to market the products. And all of a sudden, a magazine came in our mailbox, and it was the American Window Cleaning magazine, right at the moment when we decided to start to market my inventions. And we were very excited about that, so we called up the company. And then, of course, I got in touch with the people who had the magazine, and we went to meetings, and then we started to go to trade shows, and I never been a salespeople, but I knew how to demonstrate. So that's how I actually sold my products. Because I was a window cleaner, and I knew how to demonstrate my products and show people how they could reduce labor up to 2/3. So they could make more money with my products. So I had a very unique product, of course, because I invented the first wide-body squeegee in the world, and everything I invented was new to the market. Mm-hmm. And through the years, I have 10 patents, and I've been developing around 35 products for this window cleaning industry. And that's why I got the name, the Godfather of the wide-body squeegee.
I love it. Liz, I absolutely love it. People, again, I'm telling you, this is a book that you need to add to your shelf. Once again, it's entitled, I Should Be Dead Instead. They Call Me the Godfather by Sören Sörbo Samuelsson. Head on over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but make sure to check out his personal site, sorboproducts.com. There, you're going to gather more information, but you're also going to gather a lot of the information on the products that he was just talking about creating. And honestly, man, I'm telling you guys to pick up this book, not only because he has lived an incredible life and you're going to gravitate towards his journey, but also because of the amount of wisdom that you're going to be able to take. Sören, your journey is so much larger than the products in which you've been able to create, right? You are also someone that your journey has been littered with adversity, littered with challenges. And, it's something that I believe you're going to be able to assist so many others from, because they're going to be able to learn from your mistakes and acquire wisdom just by reading your book. And I'm telling you, people, that's why you need to head on over there and pick up your copies, okay? My follow-up question here now that I want to go into with you, Sören. You started to tell us some of the adversity in which you faced, but I want to go a little bit deeper, okay? I know that at one point in your life, you found yourself struggling with alcohol addiction and in deep pain. And again, something that so many people can relate to, right? So I want you to share what that season of your life was like for you, and really how you were able to persevere through it.
Well, I started to drink alcohol when I was 15 years old, and I didn't drink that much at that time, of course, but it got to be more and more, and I was a very shy person. And I realized I like girls too, and in order to talk to girls, I needed to have a few drinks, so I had a lot of girls, but I had a lot of drinks too. But anyway, when I came to America, I was really pleased to come here because I wanted to get away from my old life. I was a street fighter and I was an alcoholic already. But those days, you were young, and I was always functional, so I always worked. Mm-hmm. But every night I got back to that. But it kept going here too when I was cleaning windows. And then when I started to manufacture my products, I realized that I can't really be into alcohol anymore. But it went as far as to where I actually thought I died. And I ended up in the hospital. I didn't even know I got there. But in the morning, I woke up in the hospital and I asked the doctor what happened. And before I actually passed out that evening, I heard a voice. And actually, I'd never been to church in my life. And the voice said, "What's going to happen to your wife and your child if you die?" he says. And for some reason, I knew it was God. And I said, "Oh Lord, if you save my life this time, I'm never going to drink again." Well, I woke up in the hospital the next day, and I asked the doctor what happened. He couldn't find anything wrong with me. In the afternoon, I was released. I walked out of the hospital, and you know what? The craving was gone. And I was so happy because I tried to quit for many, many years, but I couldn't. I could hold up for 1 or 2 days, but I always fell back, But this thing came right in time when I started to get more customers buying my products. So it was a really good timing. But anyway, that's how I got out of the alcohol problem. I didn't really do it. It was God who did it for me.
Sören, that is a wonderful story, man. Thank you very much for for telling us and for showcasing that side of things. And I want to continue to go down this path and utilize, as we close out now, as a way of paying it forward and offering more advice for those out there. Again, much larger than just this magnificent journey for you, for others out there that are listening in right now, that, you know, need some advice, man. They feel like they've just made so many mistakes in their lives that it is impossible for them to turn anything around. Well, I'm curious to know, what would you want to say to those individuals listening in right now?
Well, I want this book to be inspire people who actually came from the same place as I came from. You know, I grew up feeling like I was worthless, you know, but, you know, it's hope for everybody. And you can tell that when you read my book. And I think most people who is coming up with, for instance, if you have an idea or something, they give up too early. It's those 2 extra miles, the last miles, that's where success comes. So I never gave up. I was very stubborn in that way. And that's the reason I invented so many products. And I also will give hope to people who actually were very, very bad in school like I was. And I say, you know, God is a good help. And, you know, when I became a Christian, when I was 55 years old, I realized that talking to him and have him as your friend is a great, great benefit. So what I like to do is just encourage you guys out there to don't give up. When you start something, just keep going to the end. And we make mistakes all the time, and just stand up and continue. And that's what I can advise you to do.
Sören, I love that advice that you just gave. And people, listen, you know, he offered a lot of gems in that previous answer, but one thing that really stuck out to me is really that one that he just closed on. It reminds me of the old adage, and I can't pinpoint exact. I think it might have been Gretzky, but, you know, don't hold me to it if I'm incorrect in you know, paying the credit to the wrong person. But it reminds me of the old adage of you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And, you know, look, okay, let's call a spade a spade. First and foremost, that's a lot easier said than done, right? Because trust me when I tell you, man, that fear of rejection, of failure, it is real, okay? It is daunting. So I understand that it's a lot easier said than done. But it's such a profound statement, and one that I think offers an immense amount of worth and value. If you take nothing else from this interview, and listen, there's going to be a lot of things you take from this interview, but take that, because that is something that I think deserves acknowledgement, and something that I think is truly unmatched and remarkably valuable. People, let me tell you, man, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. Again, it's been on the screen this entire time, so there's really no excuse for it. You gotta head on over and pick up your copies. Check out his personal website. Get lost in this amazing book. A fantastic journey that you're gonna want to get lost in, but also something that offers a lot of wisdom for you to take advantage of. You know where to go. Head on over there and pick up your copies today. Sören, this has been a true pleasure, man, an absolute honor. Once again, thank you for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Yeah, thank you so much for the interview.